Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May my homage to my teacher, Pinnath Loku Swamin Wahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Dear meritorious Dhamma friends, dear children, you know our great teacher Supreme Buddha was born in this world as the son of King Suddhodana. After that little baby was born, 108 Brahmins were invited to the palace of King Suddhodana to give a name to the newly born baby. So there was a ceremony for giving a name to newly born little baby. Then all the Brahmins except one young Brahmin said to King Suddhodana, "Dear king, if this prince would stay in the household life, he would become a universal king, a wheel-turning monarch." You know about the wheel-turning monarch or the universal king. He is the most powerful king ever appear in this world. A universal king conquer this whole world without a weapon, but using 5 precepts. So that righteous monarch, the wheel-turning monarch or universal king, rules this entire planet without any violence. So in that day, 107 Brahmins said, even if this prince were stay in the household life, he would become a universal king, a wheel-turning monarch. And if he were to renounce from the household life, then he would become a Buddha. But the Brahmin Kondanja, the youngest Brahmin among those Brahmins, said to the King Suddhodana, "Dear king, this prince wouldn't become a universal king. He's going to become the Buddha. There's no doubt about it." But King Suddhodana, he didn't want to see that his son becoming a Buddha. He only wanted his son become a universal king, the wheel-turning monarch. So he did everything to prevent his son from the renouncing household life. And King Suddhodana gave every pleasure in this world to Prince Siddhartha. Because at that day, King Suddhodana asked the Brahmins, what would be the reason if my son renounced from the household life? Then Brahmin told to King Suddhodana, if this prince see the suffering of life, then he would leave from the household life to become a Buddha. So King Suddhodana at any cost didn't want his son to see the suffering of life. So he didn't allow all people to stay in his kingdom. Not normal all people, the all people who couldn't hear, who couldn't see, who couldn't walk, who were at their last moments of their lives. And he didn't allow sick people who were badly sick to stay in his kingdom. And also he didn't give any chance to his son to see a dead body. So he did everything that he could do to prevent his son seeing the suffering of life. So he gave all the pleasures in this world to the Prince Siddhartha. One day, our great teacher Supreme Buddha was recalling the pleasures that he was having when he was in the household life, and said it to the bhikkhus, said it to the monks. Supreme Buddha said, monks, I was delicately raised. I was most delicately raised, extremely delicately raised. In my palace, there were lotus ponds. In some of the ponds, there were blue lotus. In some of the ponds, there were red roses. And there were white lotus in rest of the ponds. They were just for my enjoyment. And also, my father built 3 mansions for me. One for winter, one for summer, and other one for rainy season. And I only used very soft sandalwood. And also my headdress was very soft. My upper garment was very soft. And my jacket, my other clothes were very soft. So dear children, it means Prince Siddhartha consumed the most valuable things in that time in India. and most pleasurable things. And also, Supreme Buddha said to the monks, in other houses, servants were given poor food. They were given broken rice. But in my palace, even servants were given delicious boiled rice with meat. In the Prince Siddhartha's palace, even the servants were given the best food. So there's nothing to talk about the food Prince Siddhartha had. So Prince Siddhartha had the best of the best food. Why? His father, King Suddhodana, gave all the pleasures to the Prince Siddhartha to prevent him from renouncing from household life. And also, Supreme Buddha says, when I was in my palace, by day and night, a white umbrella was held over me. So, grass, dew, dust wouldn't touch my body. So every time a white umbrella was held over Prince Siddhartha. So Prince Siddhartha had a splendid life, more pleasurable life. But Supreme Buddha says, even though when I was having such a splendid life, more pleasurable life, it occurred to me, the ordinary people, even though they were subject to aging, not free from aging, they feel humiliated, disgusted when they see a old person. So what occurred to the Prince Siddhartha? The ordinary people, even though they are subject to aging, even though they are not free from aging, they feel humiliated, disgusted when they see a old person. Is that true, dear children? Yes, that's true. You know, sometimes ordinary people don't even like to look at a old person. And also, you know, some young guys who tease when they see an old person. But even they are subject to aging. Even they are not free from aging. But still they feel disgusted, humiliated when they see an old person. And also Prince Siddhartha thought, I am too subject to aging. I'm not free from aging. So if I feel disgusted and humiliated when I see a all person, all man. It's not good for me. It's not proper to me. So Supreme Buddha says, dear monks, when I was reflecting on that way, if there was a intoxication with youth in my mind, it was abandoned. So there is an intoxication with youth. People are intoxicated with youth. You know what is the intoxication means. Normally we talk about intoxication with alcohol or intoxication with drugs. When a person intoxicated with alcohol, so that person can't think clearly. He loses his mindfulness. And also at that moment he can't think about well-being of himself, and also well-being of others. That's same when someone is intoxicated with youth, because normally people think they are not going to be old. They think we are going to be young forever. But that's not true. So they are intoxicated with youth. But Prince Siddhartha was able to get rid of the intoxication with youth by reflecting on life as it is. And also, Supreme Buddha says, again it occurred to me, the ordinary people, even though they were subject to sickness, even though they were not free from sickness, they feel disgusted, humiliated when they see a sick person. You know, sometimes there are some people, when they see a sick person, they turn their face to other side. They don't want to look at the person, such a person. They feel humiliated. They feel disgusted when they see a sick person. But Prince Siddhartha thought, I am too subject to sickness or the illness. I am not free from the sickness. If I feel disgusted or humiliated when I see a sick person, it's not proper to me. It's not good for me. I should not do it. So Supreme Buddha says, when I was reflecting in that way, if there was a intoxication with good health was abandoned. So Prince Siddhartha was able to abandon intoxication with good health. Why? He reflected on the life wisely. So while having a splendid life, while having a pleasurable life, he was able to get rid of intoxication with health. And then Supreme Buddha says, again it occurred to me, the ordinary people, even though they are subject to death, even though they are not free from death, they feel humiliated, they feel disgusted when they see a person who has died. So it's also happened, dear children. Sometimes people don't like to look at a person who has died. People don't like to look at a dead body. They feel disgusted, they feel humiliated. But Prince Siddhartha was on other hand. He thought, I am not free from death. I am subject to death. So if I feel disgusted and humiliated when I see a dead body, it's not proper to me. It's not good for me. I should not do it. So Supreme Buddha says, when I was reflecting on the life in that way, I was able to abandon the intoxication with life. That is another intoxication with life. Normally people think we are going to be live forever. Normally we don't remember that we will die soon. But Prince Siddhartha was very smart. Even though he was having a splendid life, pleasurable life, he was able to get rid of intoxication with youth, intoxication with health, and intoxication with life. Then Supreme Buddha says, Bhikkhu, there are these three kinds of intoxication. Intoxication with youth, intoxication with health, and intoxication with life. Then Supreme Buddha says, the ordinary people are intoxicated with youth. When they are intoxicated with youth, they engage in misconducts in body, speech, and mind. You know, there are three evil bodily acts: killing living beings, stealing, and having sexual misconduct. And you know, there are four evil verbal acts: telling lies, speaking divisive words, speaking harsh words, and speaking gossips. And there are three evil mental acts: greediness, hatred, and wrong view. So when an ordinary person is intoxicated with youth, then what happens? That person doesn't know about the well-being of him. and doesn't know about the well-being of others. So because of that, he does evil, unwholesome actions. He does unwholesome bodily acts, unwholesome verbal acts, and unwholesome mental acts. Then Supreme Buddha says, because of that, since that person engages in misconducts in body, speech and mind, after death, that person is going to be reborn in a bad destination, in the hell. So dear children, that is the disadvantage of having intoxication with youth. Why? Eventually, that person has to be reborn in a bad destination, in the hell. And that's also same with the intoxication with health and intoxication with life. When an ordinary person is intoxicated with life, so that person doesn't know about the well-being of himself and others. So because of that, he engages misconducts in body, mind and speech. Because he only thinks about entertaining himself. He doesn't care about the ethics. He doesn't care about the virtue. Only he cares about how he can entertain his life. So because of that, he does unwholesome actions. Then he has to be reborn in a bad destination, in the hell after the death. And also, Supreme Buddha reveals another disadvantage of not removing the intoxication with youth, life and health. Supreme Buddha reveals the reason behind monks disrobing. Supreme Buddha says, intoxicated with youth, intoxicated with health and intoxicated with life, a monk gives up the monkhood, gives up the training and go back to the normal life. And he go back to the normal life. It's a lower life. Why? Because monkhood is superior than normal life. So it means if a monk is intoxicated with either youth or health or life, he disrobes and he goes back to the normal, ordinary life. That also could happen to the lay people. Because we have seen some lay disciples after quite while, they quit practicing the teachings of Supreme Buddha. They again go back to their normal life that they were having before. They stop observing precept, they stop practicing meditation, they stop listening to the teachings of Supreme Buddha, and they stop practicing dana. Why? Because they are intoxicated with youth, health and life. So that's why if someone is intoxicated with youth, health and life, they quit practicing the teachings of Supreme Buddha. They quit following the path towards the enlightenment. So that's why, dear children, it's really important to get rid of intoxication with youth, health and life. So if you are unable to get rid of these three intoxications, then we can't stabilize our life on the path towards the purification of our mind. So that's why it's really important to get rid of these three intoxications. How could we get rid of these three intoxications? By reflecting on life as it is. You know, in one of the suttas, Supreme Buddha says, either monk or nun or man or woman should reflect on the life thus. They should reflect, I am subject to aging. I am not free from aging. And it should be reflected often. What should we reflect? I am subject to aging. I am not free from aging. Why? Because when someone start to think in that way, that person can abandon the intoxication with youth. And also, either monk or a nun or a man or a woman should reflect, I am subject to illness. I am not free from illness. By reflecting on that way, Supreme Buddha says we can get rid of intoxication with health. And also we should reflect, I am subject to death. I am not free from death. Why? Because when we reflect in that way, we can get rid of intoxication with life. So if you are able to get rid of these three intoxications, then we can purify our virtue. It means then we are not going to engage we are not going to engage in misconducts in body, speech and mind. And we can get rid of the danger of quitting practice the teachings of Supreme Buddha. Because then there is no cause for it. Why? we get rid of 3 intoxications that would be cause for the quitting of practicing teachings of Supreme Buddha. So, dear Dhamma friends, dear children, we should try to reflect on our life as it is often. We should think, I am subject to aging. I am not free from aging. I am subject to illness. I am not free from illness. I am subject to death. I am not free from death. So, if we should start to practice these 3 things from today. You know, the past is over, future it hasn't come yet, Supreme Buddha says. So, when should we start to practice these 3 things? From right now. So, from today, from right now, at least one time per day, we should think, I am subject to aging. I am not free from aging. I am subject to illness. I am not free from illness. I am subject to death. I am not free from death. So, dear children, let's have a determination in our mind to practice these 3 things every day. So, may we all be able to practice these 3 things every day, and may we all be able to abandon these 3 intoxications. May we all be able to abandon misconduct in body, speech and mind. May we all be able to continue our practice of teachings of Supreme Buddha. May we all be able to realize the 4 noble truths in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.